Miss, you're going to freeze to death. Kim Jun ran through the snow, his jacket already off his shoulders. The woman ahead was stumbling, shaking, no coat, just fighting against the blizzard in a thin sweater. He caught up to her, reaching out. Here, take this. She spun around. His heart stopped. Dima. Her eyes went wide. Then her face twisted with shock, anger, fear, everything at once. What are you? Her voice cracked. You're supposed to be in prison. I got out 2 months ago. His hands were still holding the jacket, frozen midair. I moved here to start over. I thought you were in Seoul. I came to Busan because you weren't here. She stared at him like he was a ghost. Snow caught in her hair, melted on her cheeks. Then he saw it. The bruise along her jaw. Dark purple. Fresh. His stomach dropped. What happened to your face? None of your business. She shoved the jacket back at him. Stay away from me. She turned and ran. Before we continue, welcome back to everyone who's been following Dima and Kim Jun's story. If you're new here and haven't watched part 1 yet, go check it out first. The link is in the description below. You need to see how this all started. Now, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and stick with us until the end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Comment below where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Let's dive back in. Kim Jun stood in the snow, watching her disappear into the storm. The bruise burned into his mind. He'd spent 3 years in prison drowning in guilt for what he did to her family. Got out. Moved to Busan to escape his past. Started working as a mechanic, trying to build something clean. And now she was here. Hurt. Running from him. He followed her. Not close. Just close enough to make sure she got home safe. She lived in a small apartment near the bookstore district, 4th floor, lights dim. He watched her go inside, watched the lights turn on, then forced himself to walk away. But the bruise wouldn't leave his mind. The next day, he came back, stayed across the street, watched. A man showed up at her door that evening. Korean, late 20s, expensive jacket. Smiled when she opened the door, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Kim Jun's chest tightened. He watched them through the window. Saw the man grab her wrist when she tried to pull away. Saw her flinch. Saw him shove her back against the wall. Every muscle in Kim Jun's body went taut. He started toward the building, then stopped. If he intervened now, she'd hate him more. Think he was stalking her. She'd never trust him. So he waited, watched, learned. The boyfriend's name was Miho. Worked in sales, or so he claimed. But Kim Jun followed him for 3 days and saw the truth. Miho spent his afternoons at a hotel with another woman. Spent Dima's money on gifts for his mistress. Spent his evenings coming back to Dima's apartment, smiling, lying, playing the devoted boyfriend while she worked herself to exhaustion at the bookstore to pay off debts he'd pushed onto her. Kim Jun sat in his car outside the hotel, hands gripping the steering wheel, so tight his knuckles went white. He knew men like Miho. Had worked with them. Had been one of them, once. Parasites. Predators. The kind who found good people and bled them dry. A week passed. Kim Jun kept his distance, but stayed close. Brought lunch to the bookstore and left it with the elderly owner. For Dima, don't tell her who it's from. The old woman smiled knowingly. You care about her. Just make sure she eats. He went back to the mechanic shop. Fixed cars. Kept his head down. Built his reputation as the guy who could fix anything. Big clients started coming. CEOs with expensive cars. Business owners. People who paid well and didn't ask questions. But every night, he drove past Dima's apartment. Made sure the lights were on. Made sure she was safe. Then one night, the screaming started. Kim Jun was parked across the street when he heard glass shatter. Saw shadows moving violently behind the window. Heard Dima's voice, high and terrified. I saw you with her. I saw you. So what? Miho's voice, loud and cruel. You think you can leave? You owe me money, Dima. You owe me everything. I don't owe you anything. You lied. You used me. I own you. The sound of a slap. Sharp. Final. Kim Jun was out of the car before he realized he was moving. He hit the apartment door with his shoulder. It splintered. Miho spun around, eyes wide, still holding Dima by the hair. Kim Jun didn't say anything, just moved. He grabbed Miho by the throat, slammed him against the wall so hard the plaster cracked. Miho gasped, clawing at Kim Jun's hand. Let go of her, Kim Jun said quietly. Miho's face was turning red. Who the hell are you? Kim Jun's grip tightened. Let go. Miho released Dima. She stumbled back, hand pressed to her face, eyes wide with shock. Kim Jun shoved Miho toward the door. The debt. How much does she owe you? 2 million won, Miho choked out. She doesn't owe you anything. Kim Jun's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. Something from his old life. You're going to forgive the debt. You're going to leave Busan. And if I ever see you near her again, I'll make sure you disappear. Do you understand me? Miho nodded frantically. Say it. I understand. I understand. Kim Jun opened the door. Get out. Miho ran. The apartment went silent. Kim Jun turned slowly, and Dima was staring at him, trembling, tears streaming down her face. The bruise on her jaw darker now, swelling. Her voice broke. You were following me. I was protecting you. I didn't ask you to. I know. He took a step toward her, hands raised, non-threatening. I know. But I couldn't watch him hurt you. She wrapped her arms around herself. You're still dangerous. Only when I need to be. I don't need you. But her voice cracked on the words, and she was shaking so hard her knees buckled. Kim Jun caught her before she fell. She collapsed against him, sobbing, and he held her carefully, like she might break. You're safe now, he whispered. I promise. He won't come back. She clung to him, fingers twisted in his shirt, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. And Kim Jun stood there in the ruins of her apartment, holding the woman he loved, the woman whose life he'd destroyed, knowing he'd just saved her and terrified it still wouldn't be enough. Dima pulled away first, wiping her face with shaking hands. Her apartment was a disaster. Broken glass, overturned chair, the curtain half ripped from the rod. I need to clean this up, she said, voice hollow. Let me help. No. She wouldn't look at him. You've done enough. Just go. Dima. Please. Her voice cracked. Just go. Kim Jun wanted to argue, wanted to stay and make sure she was okay. But he saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she was barely holding herself together, and he knew pushing would only break her more. Okay, he said quietly. But if you need anything, I won't. He left, but he didn't go far. The next morning, Dima woke up to find her door fixed. New lock, new frame, a note taped to the wood. You're safe now. K. She crumpled the note and threw it in the trash, then pulled it back out an hour later and put it in her drawer. Days passed. She went to work at the bookstore like nothing happened, smiled at customers, shelved books, pretended the bruise on her face was from walking into a door. The elderly owner didn't believe her, but didn't push. Kim Jun stayed away, but she felt him watching, knew he was nearby, and hated that part of her felt safer because of it. 2 weeks later, lunch appeared at the bookstore. Steaming soup, fresh bread. The owner brought it to her with a knowing smile. From a customer, the old woman said. Which customer? The one who looks at you like you hung the moon. Dima's throat tightened. She ate the soup anyway. It became routine. Every few days, lunch appeared, sometimes with a book tucked inside. Always something she'd mentioned wanting to read months ago, back when she didn't know who Kim Jun really was. She never thanked him, never acknowledged it. But she stopped throwing the notes away. A month passed, then 6 weeks. The bruise faded. The fear didn't. She'd wake up at night, heart racing, thinking she heard Miho's voice. Then she'd remember Kim Jun slamming him against the wall, the cold promise in his voice, and she'd feel something complicated twist in her chest. Gratitude, anger, confusion, something else she didn't want to name. One evening, she was closing the bookstore when she saw him across the street, leaning against a lamppost, hands in his pockets, watching her like he always did. She walked over before she could stop herself. Why are you doing this? She asked. He straightened, surprised she was talking to him. Doing what? The food. The books. Following me everywhere. I'm not following you. You're literally standing outside my work right now. He had the decency to look guilty. I just want to make sure you're safe. I'm fine. Are you? The question hung between them. She wanted to say yes, wanted to mean it. But her hands were shaking and she'd barely slept in weeks, and every time she closed her eyes she saw Miho's face, heard his voice sing, I own you. I don't know, she whispered. Kim Jun's expression softened. Can I walk you home? She should say no, should tell him to leave her alone, should remember what he did to her parents, to her life, to everything. But she was tired, so tired. Okay. They walked in silence. The streets were quiet, autumn leaves skittering across the pavement. When they reached her building, she stopped. Thank you, she said, for that night, for stopping him. You don't have to thank me. I know, but I am. She looked at him finally, really looked at him. He was thinner than before, tired, haunted. What happened to you? In prison. I had time to think about what I did, who I was. He met her eyes. I'm sorry, Dima, for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but why did you turn yourself in? The question surprised him. Because you deserve justice. Even if it meant destroying everything. You destroyed your whole organization. Everyone went to prison because of you. Good. They deserved it too. She studied his face, searching for the lie, the manipulation, the danger. But all she saw was exhaustion and regret, and something achingly honest. I hated you, she said quietly. I know. I still do. Sometimes. I know. But sometimes. She trailed off, not sure how to finish. Sometimes what? Sometimes I forget to. The confession felt like jumping off a cliff. And that terrifies me. Kim Jun's breath caught. Dimma. Don't. Just don't. She backed toward her door. I need time. I need to figure out what I'm feeling. Can you give me that? However long you need. She nodded and went inside, leaving him standing in the street, hope and heartbreak written across his face. 3 months passed. Winter turned to spring. Kim Jun kept his distance, but stayed close. The lunches continued. The books. The silent protection she pretended not to notice. Her nightmares faded. The fear loosened its grip. And slowly, carefully, she started letting herself feel something other than anger when she thought about him. One Saturday, she showed up at the mechanic shop. Kim Jun was under a car, music playing softly from a radio. He didn't notice her until she cleared her throat. He rolled out, grease-stained and surprised. Dimma? Hi. He stood quickly, wiping his hands on a rag. Is everything okay? Are you? I'm fine. She took a breath. I wanted to see where you work. His eyes softened. Yeah. He showed her around. Explained what he was working on. Talked about engines and transmissions with genuine enthusiasm, hands moving as he spoke. She watched him. This man who'd once commanded an empire, now covered in grease and genuinely happy fixing someone's broken-down sedan. You like this, she said. The work. I do. It's honest. Simple. If something's broken, I fix it. He paused. I wish everything was that easy. Me too. They stood there in the garage, spring sunlight filtering through the windows, and something shifted. Something fragile and terrifying and real. Can I take you to dinner? Kim Jun asked quietly. Her heart kicked. Like a date. Like whatever you want it to be. She should say no. Should remember. Should protect herself. But she was tired of being afraid. Tired of running. Tired of pretending her heart didn't skip when she saw him. Okay, she said. Dinner. His smile was sunlight breaking through clouds. Okay. They went that evening. A small restaurant by the water, quiet and warm. They talked about books, about Busan, about everything except the past. And for a few hours, they were just two people sharing a meal, learning each other again from scratch. When he walked her home, he stopped at her door. Thank you, he said, for giving me a chance. I haven't decided anything yet. I know, but thank you anyway. She smiled despite herself. Good night, Kim Jun. Good night. She went inside and leaned against the door, heart racing, terrified and exhilarated and wondering what the hell she was doing. But for the first time in years, she felt something like hope. They started seeing each other. Not officially, just coffee sometimes. Walks along the beach. Quiet conversations that felt like rebuilding something from ashes. Kim Jun never pushed. Never asked for more than she could give. Just showed up, steady and patient, letting her set the pace. 2 months in, she invited him to her apartment for dinner. He arrived with flowers and wine, nervous like a teenager on a first date. You didn't have to bring anything, she said. I wanted to. They cooked together. Pasta, nothing fancy. He chopped vegetables while she stirred sauce, and they moved around each other carefully, learning the rhythm. You're good at this, he said, watching her work. My mom taught me. The words slipped out before she could stop them. The air went heavy. Kim Jun's hands stilled on the cutting board. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm so sorry. Dimma turned off the stove. Faced him. I know you are. I've known for a while now. Does that make it easier? No. But it makes it possible. He set down the knife. Possible. To try. To see if we can build something that isn't destroyed by the past. She took a breath. I'll never forget what you did. It'll always be there. But I'm tired of letting it control my life. I'm tired of being angry. You have every right to be angry. I know. But I'm choosing something else. She stepped closer. I'm choosing to see who you are now. Not who you were. Kim Jun's eyes shone with something raw. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But maybe that's not the point. He reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their fingers intertwined, and the touch felt like a promise neither of them knew if they could keep. 6 months later, Kim Jun took her to the pier at sunset. The ocean stretched endless and gold, waves crashing against the rocks. I need to tell you something, he said. Her stomach dropped. What? I love you. The words came out steady and sure. I've loved you since the first day I saw you in that classroom. I loved you when I didn't deserve to. I loved you through prison, through guilt, through every moment I thought I'd never see you again. And I love you now, knowing you might never fully forgive me, knowing I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn what I can never deserve. Dimma's breath caught. Kim June, I don't want you as my girlfriend. He pulled a small box from his pocket and dropped to one knee. I want you as my wife. I want to wake up next to you every day and remind you that you're loved. I want to protect you, care for you, make sure your heart never bleeds because of me again. I want to build a life with you that's nothing like the past. I want everything, Dima, if you'll let me. Tears blurred her vision. She looked at this man, this complicated, broken, transformed man who destroyed her world and then spent years trying to rebuild it. I'm terrified, she whispered. I know. What if it doesn't work? What if the past is too heavy? Then we'll carry it together. She thought about her parents, about the fire, about the little girl hiding behind the stairs, about all the years she'd spent running from grief and anger and pain. Then she thought about the man in front of her, the lunches he'd brought, the books, the way he'd saved her from Miho, the honest work, the patience, the love in his eyes that never wavered even when she pushed him away. People could change. She'd seen it, lived it, felt it in every careful touch, every gentle word, every moment he chose to be better than who he was. Yes, she said. His eyes went wide. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I choose this. Yes, I'm terrified and probably crazy, but yes. He stood and kissed her like she was oxygen. She kissed him back, tasting salt from tears she didn't know she was crying, feeling something hard and painful in her chest finally start to crack open. They married 3 months later. Small ceremony on the beach. The elderly bookstore owner was there. Kim June's boss from the mechanic shop. A handful of people who'd known them in Busan and believed in second chances. Dima wore a simple white dress. Kim June cried during his vows. And when they said, I do, it felt less like an ending and more like the first breath after drowning. A year later, their daughter was born. Tiny and perfect, with Dima's eyes and Kim June's quiet strength. They named her Nari. Light. Kim June held her in the hospital room, this impossibly small human, and wept. I don't know how to be a father. Neither of us know how to be parents, Dima said, exhausted and radiant. We'll figure it out together. He looked at her, at their daughter, at the life they'd built from ruins and forgiveness and impossible choices. I'll spend every day making sure she knows she's loved, that she's safe, that she never has to carry the weight we carried. I know you will. They went home to their small apartment, painted the nursery soft yellow, learned to function on no sleep, watched Nari grow, every smile a miracle, every laugh a reminder that beauty could emerge from the darkest places. Some days were hard. Dima would see something, a news story or a symbol, and the past would crash back. She'd go quiet, distant, and Kim June would hold her without asking questions, just reminding her with his presence that she wasn't alone. Some days were easy. Breakfast together, walks by the ocean, Nari babbling in her stroller while they talked about nothing and everything. 5 years passed. The mechanic shop thrived. Dima opened her own bookstore, small but filled with stories about survival and hope. Nari started school, bright and curious and loved beyond measure. One evening, Dima found Kim June on the balcony, staring at the ocean. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. You okay? She asked. Just thinking. About. How I don't deserve this. Any of it. She rested her head against his back. Maybe it's not about deserving. Maybe it's about choosing. Every day, choosing to be better. Choosing love over guilt. Choosing to build instead of destroy. He turned and pulled her close. How did you forgive me? I didn't. Not completely. She looked up at him. But I chose to love you anyway. And some days that's harder than forgiving. Some days I still see the fire. Still hear my mother's voice. Still feel the weight of what was taken. I'm sorry. I know. And I love you. Both things are true. He kissed her forehead. Both things are true. Inside, Nari called for them. Bedtime story. They went in together, climbed onto her small bed, read about dragons and princesses and happy endings. When Nari fell asleep, they stood in the doorway watching her breathe, this perfect thing they'd made together despite everything. We did good, Dima whispered. Yeah, we did. They turned off the light and closed the doors softly, moving through their home, their life, their second chance. The moral wasn't simple. It never was. Some wounds don't fully heal. Some ghosts don't disappear. Some pasts are too heavy to forget. But people can change. Love can exist alongside pain. Forgiveness isn't erasing history. It's choosing not to be destroyed by it. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone prove they're more than their worst moment. Dima and Kim June built their life on that truth. Imperfect, complicated, real. And in the end, that was enough. They chose each other, chose healing, chose to honor what was lost by refusing to lose themselves. And in that choice, they found something worth living for. And that's where Dima and Kim Jun's journey brought them, to forgiveness, healing, and a second chance at love. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. If you missed part 1, the link is in the description. Go watch it to see how everything began. Drop a comment telling me what you thought about this ending. Did they deserve their happy ending? Let me know below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.